next panel is a very, very interesting panel. Very important. Now, this afternoon, we're going to have some other two very important panels that you should not miss after lunch. But this one before lunch is going to whet your appetite. Because what we want to be able to discuss are the key trends shaping global supply chains and the changing marketplace. How do we respond? Once upon a time, we were on one-party logistics. Right now, we are on the e-commerce, fifth-party logistics. We have grown, we have moved. And if as RAME, we do not adjust ourselves and be ready for the fifth-party logistics, we will be caught wanting. And so to moderate this panel is an astute logistician. I know her very well because she's one of my mentors with the young people. With the young people, I've been mentored by Mrs. Jennifer Mwijukye, who is the Managing Director of Unifreight Cargo Handling and is a former President of Uganda Freight Forwarders Association. Come on, give up a round of applause for Mrs. Jennifer Mwijukye of Unifreight Cargo as she comes. Now, the panelists are a very, very knowledgeable and experienced group of people. I want to start with my immediate former boss in Multilines International Limited, the group managing director, Mr. Gerald Mukyenga. Give him a hand while he comes. Multilines International is all over East Africa and doing all the lines of logistics. Then we have the founding member of FIATA Alliance and Director General of FIATA, Dr. Stephane Grabber. Dr. Stephane Grabber, the Director General of FIATA, you're very, very welcome as you come. One of our elders here in Uganda, we call him an elder because from the very beginning, if he begins telling you the history of logistics in Uganda, you will think he was there when, you know. And this is the General Manager of Operations of Mukwano Group, Mr. Businge, Rwabwogo. Are you around? Mr. Rwabwogo? Okay, all right, we'll move on. And then there is Osela Technologies, an IT solutions company that is interrupting the way we do freight forwarding and logistics. The Chief Executive Officer and the founder of Osela Technologies is here, Mr. Elkanah Momayi. Come on, give him a hand while he comes. Now, this panel, Madam Jennifer, is what stands between us and lunch at 2. So use that information as you see fit. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, MC, and good afternoon, everyone. I've been introduced, so I will save your time and say we are discussing a very important topic. We are looking at the trends of the supply chain, and we are going to align it with the theme of the conference, which is resilience, adaptability, and diversity. I will just some speakers have already touched on the trends, especially Mr. John Mathenge, when he talked about what is happening in logistics globally. He gave us figures, but I will just add a few. We are looking at shipping carriers themselves, the trends that are happening. During COVID, we all remember what was happening with shipping line, the pricing, and we know what is happening now. The new entrants are coming in. That means that there is an attractiveness in as far as supply is supply chain is concerned. And then we are also looking at technology and the disruptions it's causing. We look at the Amazons of today, the way they are changing the whole distribution, and how manufacturers are dealing directly with such kind of companies because of technology. And so those are the trends that we want to concentrate on this afternoon as we make this discussion. How are all of us stakeholders aligning? How are we becoming resilient? How are we adapting to the changes? And how are we responding to diversity of supply in as far as logistics is concerned? And so my panel has been introduced, so I won't waste a lot of your time. The MC has warned me that we are all looking at lunch, but I will just pose the questions to each one of you, and then you'll be able to respond, and then we'll give audience a chance to ask you some questions so that then we can close it up when everybody has been able to participate. And so I'll start with my immediate next, Mr. Gerald Mukyenga, who I know very well. He's the managing director of Multilines International. And I will ask him, because he's a logistician, and so I will ask him, with all these trends happening, especially the technology, how have you responded as a player in as far as technology is concerned to be able to enhance your service delivery to the customer?
Ladies and gentlemen, forgive me, my voice is not very good. I've been in a country where it is winter, and then I came back here and it is summer. Thank you very much, Jennifer. As introduced, Gerald Mukyenga, Multilines Group of Companies. We are in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and all the partner states. The question, we've had it. How have we responded? I will start from as far as COVID disruption is concerned. I will not go backwards to save time. 2, I will not go into the other challenges because they have been enumerated this morning, and we're going to continue enumerating the challenges of a freight forwarder. As Multilines, how have we adopted? There are things that we take as obvious. Somebody to ask me, how do I live? How do I smile? How do I manage my size? There are 2 things. I eat and I exercise. So digitization is one of the menu for freight forwarder. So I'm also not going to take long, because those who have not adopted to digitization and automation and the continuous improvement of that are either out or they are on their way out. So freight forwarders, if there is any that has not co-opted and adapted digitization and automation, you are on your way out of the industry. So what we have done is to ensure continuous improvement. We ensured that we have a platform based on SAP as a platform, and we customized our ERP, and we continuously work with our research and development team to ensure that we adapt to the needs of the customer, and our developers of that system continuously, day by day, make add-ons on our system to meet the customer needs. And there are 2 things that the customer wants: save time and save money. I'll leave that. Already we are going ahead, and this is where I encourage my fellow freight forwarders. Like the MC has mentioned, after COVID, we all realized the need for digitization and automation of our processes. But the fifth need is coming, and this is artificial intelligence. We are moving away from digitization to artificial intelligence. The chat box, robotics, and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be stagnated. Don't just automate, don't just digitize, because that's what everybody is doing. Let's be ahead of the others. The other disruption that I want to comment on that is eating into my head as a leader of an international and regional organization in Africa is where the shipping lines have left their role and they are coming into our lane. This is where they are starting to go directly to the customer. This is where we freight forwarders are blocked from getting rates, and they are telling us to get spot rates. They are getting the final consumer, the final customer, the final manufacturer in the supply chain to get a rate direct from the shipping line. So we as RAME, we as FIATA, if we leave this conference without a solution to that, we shall not have done justice to the industry. And for me, my suggestion is two-way. One, as FIATA on the global scale, not even RAME alone, to enforce Section 16, subsection 1 of the Maritime Merchant Clause. We know it. The shipping lines should do their shipping line role. Otherwise, the second one is, can we live here with a resolution that all freight forwarders under FIATA, we incorporate a company, a limited liability company, and we buy vessels, and we have a system platform where we can see net rates, and we start as well moving cargo. This we can do, especially in Africa. We can control. If we stopped giving shipping lines because we have our own platform, we have our own vessel, we have the capacity. We should not live here without a solution. Otherwise, freight forwarders, your role is getting out. We very well know that revenue authorities and customs can, as well, allow the final importer, the final exporter to access through the system directly. But they have left the role of the clearing agent and the customs broker. Why can't the shipping line stay in their lane? And I will give examples without fear or favor. MSC, they are now going into, we all know where they are, okay? Where they have not gone directly, they are merging. We know Siva, I know Siva has been here. We know they are with the CMS, CGM. We know Musk, they are allowed to incorporate a company called Damco, and they are operating from within. And they make sure that we, the freight forwarders, get higher rates, handling charges, cleaning services of the container, name it. And then when a customer directly goes to them, they don't charge that. So they save time for the customer, but also they increase the rates for the freight forwarder. Can we live here? For me, it is what is disturbing me, because strategically speaking, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, I see the role of a freight forwarder diminishing if we don't get a solution. Can I end here by saying they have also gone into aviation. We all know that MSC has a collaboration with the KLM, that any cargo that will not be brought under full container load, or they cannot bring it by air because it is urgent, they will fly it with KLM. But they are also planning to buy aircrafts if they have not bought already. FIATA, RAME, we have an opportunity that you are here, especially for us in Africa. We need a solution to this challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gerald. Issues of diversity, adaptability, resilience are coming out now from players. We have situations where the big companies are coming in. We have situations of technology, but can we stop anything? Or we need to think about how to adopt. Can we stop it or we adopt? Can we, I am actually raising this so that you think when we are raising questions, are these issues, they have to be debated in the line of being entrepreneurs, but also looking at the global trends and the way things are happening. Are there things that we can stop with regulations, or there are things for adopting? Those are the questions what we need to discuss. Next, Dr. Technology again and its disruptions, blockchain, AI, so many things happening. What could be hindering the shipping line from adopting electronic bill of lading?
So thank you very much for your question, and I really appreciate what you raised before. I think there are a lot of challenges that are coming to the freight forwarders, and it's really important to try to address all of these, have the right tools for our members to be part of it. And in fact, as you know, I'm also here as the FIT Alliance, and maybe I need to introduce the FIT Alliance because you don't know probably what it is. The FIT Alliance is a grouping between BIMCO, DCSA, ICC, SWIFT, so the banks, and FIATA. And the question you will say, but why is FIATA participating in that? Why did we decide to sit down with these people, the CSA, BIMCO, the shipping lines? Because digitalization is coming to us. It will impact our industry, it will impact our business models, and it's really important that FIATA and that freight forwarders are part of this movement. We cannot oppose it. As you said, the question you ask, can we stop it or should we adapt? We cannot stop that. It will come, and it will come because it has a real impact on the cost for our industry. If I take this FIT Alliance, its key objective is to raise awareness and accelerate the adoption of standard-based bill of lading. Why? Because we know that the adoption of electronic bill of lading potentially can help us save 6.5 billion in documentation cost. It enables 7 billion in gains by reducing inventory and financing cost. It might unlock 30 to 40 billion in trade growth by reduction of trade friction. And by the way, it also helps for the SDGs because it would allow to save 28,000 trees. So this is a major element for reducing the cost, for reducing inefficiency and developing trade that will benefit to all of us. And it's important that the freight forwarders are part of it. That's why FIATA said we need to sit down with all these actors, so the shipping lines, ICC, SWIFT with the bank, because it's also linked to the financing, and we work all together. All together, we represent probably 85% of the market. So if we want to really push for this electronic BL, we have a real power to do it. Now, it's very important, here FIATA again, FIATA has one of the house bill of lading that is very renowned because it's one that is endorsed by ICC and UNCTAD. It's a document that is a title of goods that is negotiable and that is used in many countries as a collateral for trade finance. This document is the only house bill of lading that has this characteristic. And the freight forwarders is at the beginning of the chain, which means that when there is an order coming from a shipper, all the data are with the freight forwarders. And all these data are in the house bill of lading, in the FIATA house bill of lading. And this is a big wealth and a big asset of the freight forwarder, because then these data will serve for the master bill of lading, will serve for the customs, will serve for all the different actors. So it's really important here that we understand the value we have here and we offer to all our members a possibility to have an electronic bill of lading and to access it. And that's what FIATA did. FIATA digitalized his bill of lading. He created an identity registry for its members, so we are now implementing it. We have 40,000 members in the world. Most of them also are here in the room. We work with our national association to create identities for all our members so that they can use this electronic BL. We didn't create a new platform. That was not the objective. All freight forwarders, they have their platform. They can use whichever IT platform they want. What we offer is an electronic BL that can be accessible through all kinds of platform and transport managing system, with a service that allows to securize the document and to reduce fraud. Earlier today, someone mentioned about fraud and problems existing in the supply chain. Today, when you create an electronic FBL using the FIATA EFBL, the data are immediately stored on a blockchain, and then you can use the document, because today we are not yet at digital exchange of data. You can use it either in paper version, you can exchange electronic PDF, you can also exchange data, but you have always an audit trail of the data. You know who have created the document, and you know that these data are securized because they are stored on a blockchain. So that's the way we help and we try to bring to all the freight forwarders the possibility to enter this digital world, and it's really important we are there because, as I said, we are at the center, at the beginning of any freight transport. And now the other things we work, and that comes to one of the points addressed by my predecessor, is just we need to have interoperability between the different actors. And that's, again, it's something that is a lot of work that we do. We are currently working with the WCO and with certain custom authorities around the world to ensure interoperability between the data model of the EFBL and their data models, in order that we can, tomorrow, have the custom accepting our data because they fit with their model. Today, they are very, very keen to work with FIATA because we securize the data, because we offer a network of trust in our data registry. We know who are our members. We have due diligence of our members. We know which association they belong. We know we know the trade condition they apply. So we can really offer to the customs, to the banks, a network of trust where they can trust the documents and the data that come that are securized. And we realized last year also with banks, we do the same exercise with banks. We realized a full transaction between two coffee traders. One was a buyer, the other one a seller. And the whole transaction was completely automatized with the payment being automatically generated. Why? Just because the bank had trust in the FIATA EBL, in the data provided, and in the person that was at the origin. So there is a huge work we need to do with the different actors in the supply chain to ensure the interoperability and to avoid that in reality an actor can impose a standard to all the others. And I think that's at the beginning of all this when we decided to enter in this FIT Alliance to work with them. If we would not be there, you can be sure that tomorrow you will have a kind of monopoly with a standard pushed by the shipping lines, and everybody would have only this alternative. What FIATA is trying to bring here for its member is ensure that you have the tools, you have your standard. We have the FIATA and the freight forwarder standard that is recognized by the shipping lines, by the custom, by the banks, so that we have the control on our data. Because at the end, the big question is the control of the data. And a lot of people in conferences talk about the new gold that are the data. It's the new gold. This gold is with freight forwarders because it's the one that collect the data and consolidate the data of a shipping of freight. And he's the one that has the complete view. And it's really important that we have a control on it, because if we give up these data without any control, you can be sure that the disintermediation, that the verticalization of the industry will be at the cost of the freight forwarders. So that a little bit to bring in the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hear that what you are talking about, the FIATA Bill of Lading, could be a solution to what he was talking about, so that then we begin looking at, yes, we can coexist with the shipping line, but we have an alternative in as far as adaptability is concerned, and coexisting, you know, with the shipping line through Bill of Lading and the rest. So I think this is to the organizers. I feel that we should have given FIATA more time to make a presentation telling us or educating us about this Bill of Lading as a solution, given the circumstance and the environment we are in. But I think I leave it to that. I will come back to him for more interrogation. I think let me give a chance to Mr. Elkanah. You are a solution service provider, and we are talking about disruptions technology has brought about, both opportunities and challenges. And I would like to know what solutions you have for logisticians in as far as alignment is concerned that we can be able to utilize.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Is my mic working? Because I didn't hear a response. Good afternoon. I think we need to break for lunch. I'm not hearing anything. Good afternoon. That is better. Good. So my name is Elkanah. I'm a team leader from a company called Osela Technologies. We're born and bred here. We have a solution for logistics all the way from transport or fleet management to clearing and forwarding, then to bond operations. So those are different verticals. But I want to speak on and probably try to paint a picture of some of the things that business owners, that most of you probably go through day to day. The word demurrage charges is common across. True? The word of, hey, we can't find a document we received from a customer to be able to either clear their cargo in time. Very common, right? Then you hear that, hey, customers that you have, that has given you business, you are not able to give them a clear status until they call you to ask, where is my cargo? True? Then we paint a picture whereby then you don't have to do all those things yourself. Have the systems do it for you. Have solutions do it for you. Whereby a customer wakes up in the morning, they have a status of where their cargo is in their email, even without calling you. So we consider what we call that we're enablers to your business. No matter which vertical where you are in terms of the freight forwarding, the logistics across. So the operations essentially, So the operations essentially you are looking at is from the time of whereby a customer has walked in to your organization and they want a quotation. How long does it take you to serve this customer? For you to actually be able to provide this quotation to the customer? How long does it take you to do that? Probably you tell them, hey, just please give me a second. It takes you 30 to an hour to actually, because you have to keep calling different service providers, because you have to keep subcontracting to be able to get these costs before you actually put your margin to give to your customer. And all the time they're waiting. The demurrage charges that I spoke earlier, if you have a solution that is every single time, every single day from the moment you start moving cargo, that the system is telling you, hey, you have 25 days remaining before you hit, before you start getting charged by the shipping line. Or you have 24 days remaining, you have 20 days remaining. So it makes you then become preemptive or preventive instead of being reactive to after you start receiving those invoices, the charges, that's when you start running around, where is the container? The other aspect then you are looking at is essentially generation of worksheets. I'm just mentioning specifically to some of the daily scenarios that you go through on a daily basis. So apart from all these that are operational in-house, then you have external forces as well. I think a year, slightly more than 2 years ago, we had a scenario whereby now the Uganda Revenue Authority has demanded and legalized that you have to generate your invoices using the e-freeze portal. Ugandans, you know this, right? There it comes that you've been forced to incur an extra cost to have somebody who is, when you raise an invoice from whatever system you're using, you also again have to do it on the e-freeze portal. So there is external forces and also there are internal forces. If you're in transport and fleet management and you're looking at every single time one of your trucks moves cargo from here to Gulu or to Mbarara or to Fort Portal, by the time it comes back, you spend more money on that truck repairing it as more than what the revenue they generated. So you want to be able to have a solution that is actually tracking the profitability per vehicle or per truck that you actually have, which is a co-driver of what you actually have. And that therefore makes you to become efficient for you to be able to serve your customers. I don't know any company that does, apart from NGO, that does business to lose money. No company at all that does business to lose money. And therefore, you want to be able to manage the costs that you are using to operate, that you're using to run. Apart from that, as I finalize my submissions of the different solutions we have, is you need the departments in your organizations to be able to communicate with one another without blame game. You want to be able to serve your customers. And therefore, the sections that are disjointed, that is your operations teams, that are disjointed whereby they have done, you don't know when you finish doing the job, by the time the month is almost ending, you have not invoiced the customers, therefore you have just accrued expenses without actually generating revenue or by invoicing your customers. All this comes down to one thing: data. Data, which is a key driver, the biggest at the moment, which is the biggest asset for any organization that you have, is data. How many of you here, probably a very small percentage here, that you have customers of a very small percentage, or probably 5 or to 10% of customers that you have to keep dealing, that are very loyal to you every single time? But mostly customers come and go, because they want to keep finding out where can I get the best opportunity from. But when you have this information in-house, you'll be able to ask one question here, sitting probably as a business leader. You want to be able to, last year we did business with this customer who has been doing a lot of importation or a lot of exports. Does it mean they stopped doing business? Or what actually happened that this customer has not come back to us, has not come back to me? You cannot be able to tell unless you have data, which is the biggest value of every organization as we speak. And therefore, the generalized take-home is this: imagine a world, imagine your business whereby, without going through the fiscal files,
I hope you are summarizing.
Yes, I'm summarizing. Almost summarizing. As you look at the aspects of making sure that you automate your processes, you digitize your processes, how efficient do you want to become to remain competitive? And that's where I stop it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Elkanah has provided solutions, technological solutions, for managing our equipment and our businesses efficiently. Stephane has provided solutions for FIATA's bill of lading and issues surrounding shipping line. Gerald Mukyenga talked about the threats and of course identified or made proposals. I want to receive 1 or 2 questions or compliments, or rather comments, in as far as this discussion is concerned from you, so that then we are able to wind up this discussion. I don't want to stand longer in between you and lunch. Yes, Roy. Where is the microphone? Yes, there is another. Oh, how many? I said 3 questions. How many do you want us to take? I can see already 5. Okay, quickly. Roy, in front here, there is Mr. Katushabe from Ministry of Works. I don't want to lose the question from government side. Then there is David Mugarama. There's someone in front of you, David. In that order: Roy, Mr. Katushabe, David Mugarama, and someone in front of David. I cannot recognize you. Oh, sorry. Okay, let me turn. Oh my God. But they are becoming 10. MC, can I take all the questions? Okay. All right. I'll come back to this side. I'll give you your chance. Okay.
Thank you, Madam. My name's Roy Mwandi. I'm the National Chairman of Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association. I sit at the port city of Mombasa, and one of the discussion by the gentleman at the middle caught my attention because as the chair of the freight forwarders in Kenya, I have received several complaints in regard to abuse of dominance by the shipping lines. The so-called shipping lines, they are our friends. We are supposed to complement one another. Their main line of business is basically carriage of loaded goods from the port of loading to the port of discharge. And that is where they get their main income. And as such, it worries a person who owns a ship basically is a rich person. That is the truth. And if that person has 10 to 50 ships, he has a financial muscle, he has a capacity even to buy his own island and live there. So if that person comes to engage in a business of Karelian forwarding, obviously he will be able to push out the small local companies out of business. He will actually behave like the camel that borrowed a tent to put his head and eventually pushing out the owner. The accusations, all the concerns about the local agents in the region, because I sit at the port community meeting at the port of Mombasa, which incorporates the region, and all the leaders of the freight logistics are represented there. The concerns range from the load port, where a shipping line would decline to give space to any importer who does not, give them a through bill of lading. That is one. It also, they are also accused of recommending the use of their affiliate in clearance of, project cargo, all those kind of big cargos to their affiliate. And when the affiliate is given the work, many charges are waived, and the delivery order is given 3 days before the arrival of the vessel. And when it is being done by a local company, all those charges are applicable. They waive container deposit, decrease free period for transit cargo being done by another agent, local agent. But when they do it in-house, they have plenty of time, which they allocate themselves. So we have also had concerns that avocado farmers or Karelian agents dealing with avocado exports, they are denied reefer containers and referred to the subsidiaries of the shipping lines. And that pushes out the local Karelian forwarding agents away. And this is what we are calling abuse of dominance. And that is why I second that gentleman that we should have a position as FIATA to protect the agents, the Karelian agents, custom agents, the freight logistics, small people. We must have a position from today, either at the regional level, at continental level, at the global level. If we do not do that, then in 5 years to come, probably myself I would have retired and gone to farm. But the future is not good for the young generation that want to venture into services, offering services of Karelian forwarding as independent companies, not employees of multinational. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. As we discuss this issue, I want to request that we also look at factors that are leading to this. Are the shipping line coming because of demand? Are the shipping line coming because of the needs of the customers that are not being met? So we need to also look at all those issues when we are bringing out our discussion, so that when we are making recommendations, I think we are looking at holistically what could be attracting the shipping line to come on. Is it an opportunity? Is it the needs of the customer we have failed to meet, so that we have a fruitful discussion and deliberations? Mr. Katushabe, please go on with your question.
Thank you, moderator. I think Jennifer, being a moderator, wants also to ask questions which we wanted to ask. One of them is that because I wanted to find out from Mukyenga's submission as government, this is a big concern, especially in the logistics chain. Having freight forwarders who are supposed to be doing work, but it is done by the shipping lines. Now, my question is, do we have any action to do with these shipping lines? Are port authorities authorized to do this so that then they can sanction these shipping lines? Because if it affects the entire supply chain, then you are going to have challenges. But the last one which you raised is very fundamental. Why are shipping lines coming into this when originally this is the work of freight forwarders? Is the problem processes like what the IT man was telling us? Maybe you are slow. You are still thinking manual when you are supposed to automate. Is the issue the cost? Maybe you are overcharging them and they see an opportunity where shipping lines can charge them less. So these are questions I think that must be addressed in this conference and a solution is found. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Mugarama was the third one.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. My name is David Mugarama, representing Bemuga Group. My concern here is, I'll address it as a consultant who has carried out a number of studies in the region. And every time we've come up with a study, we have made a simple recommendation that the associations have not looked at policy framework and legislation. You are going to find most members here are all licensed by Uganda Revenue Authority or Kenya Revenue Authority. That means you operate as agents, which means you're controlled by Uganda Revenue Authority. So Uganda Revenue Authority or Kenya Revenue Authority has a right to appoint a shipping line as an agent. Our recommendations have always been, if you framed a proper policy, got an act of parliament so that you are licensed, association has a right to license its members. Then you'll have formed a framework and formed up a team so that now management of the process, the transport and logistic processes are controlled by the members, by UFA, by FIATA, or whatever organization. Then in the process of that, then there will be proper management, there will be proper policy control. Then you'll be able to identify which members can do. We have the Uganda Law Society, Uganda Insurance Association. These people don't go to some people to license them, but you still get licensed by Uganda Revenue Authority. And how can you control that? Therefore, the Uganda Revenue Authority will license everybody. Market regulation, as the member said, data control. We don't share data. Everybody wants to operate on his own. So we need to have an effective transport and legislative practice. And the only way to do it is have it legislated by Act of Parliament. And if this was followed up by team members, then we shall have got a solution. This is what the recommendations we've always made as consultants. And we've never had any person coming back to follow it up. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I think one of the programs we have during this conference, there will be a presentation on self-regulation. And this is a process that has been ongoing, and I'm sure it will be able to lead to some of those issues that currently could be hampering us to be able to deal with our own industry. Someone, your neighbor wanted to say something. Are you settled? I come back to this side. Maybe it has been asked.
University as a transport and logistics officer. My question is I'm seeing there's a link between e-commerce and logistics here. I'll give an example. I may find a product on Amazon, maybe in Amazon UAE, and it can be shipped to Uganda. So these logistics providers who are here, how can you help us with this? I can say good product on Amazon, pay for it, but they say you can't ship to Uganda. How do we close up this gap? Because we are missing out on the e-commerce in that area. Thank you.
Business opportunities there from that question. Next. Mathenge. Okay, sorry, this side. Someone already has grabbed the microphone. So please go ahead and ask your question.
So I was going to make a comment. My name is Eddie Akrong. I'm the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. I almost joined the Sudanese because maybe if I'm taller, I would have been seen earlier. Anyway, so a quick comment on my brother Gerald Mukyenga's submission. I think you asked a pertinent question as to we should look at this whole shipping line thing holistically, okay, and as to whether there's a certain need. I can tell you straight, I think it's just a monopolistic tendency. The thing is, they have to grab everything. Truth of the matter that even when the local laws, I'm coming from Ghana, and even when the local laws are made in such a way that they are going to save the business of freight forward, not freight forwarding, even just the customs house agency business for the, for sake of local content, even that, they are finding a way around it. So what are they doing? Like my brother Mukyenga said, look, even the local charges are now competing with freight. And there is no hold the government. We've made several petitions to the government. The laws are there to support, but then there is no force on it. We need to take a certain decision because pretty soon is a clear and present danger. Pretty soon there will be no freight forwarder in and around Africa. Then who's going to belong to FIATA anyway? You understand? Because yes, they are going to grab everything. They want to do it from start to the end and deliver. Okay, so like I'm saying, it's a clear and present danger. And I support my brother Gerald Mukyenga that if we can take a decision on this, this will be a great plus for Africa.
Thank you very much. Can I take two questions from here?
So, okay.
No. This side, please. Let's balance the boat.
So, may I? So thank you, moderator. I want to have actually it's not a comment, but sorry, a question is a comment. And to respond to the two issues. The issue number one is about how to deal with shipping lines. The first issue we have to deal with the issue of unfair competition. And that's something that we must accept, that unfair trade practices are not acceptable worldwide. And we may want to escalate this from even beyond national level. We have our legs, we can even push it to the African Continental Free Trade Area so that we are able to adopt a framework that does not perpetuate unfair trade practices. We are not talking about competition, we are talking about unfair trade practices. Number two, because that is dealing with a threat from outside, the other thing that we need to deal with is our weakness. And this is what the moderator talked about. Are we positioning ourselves as a logistics industry to compete? We need to improve ourselves. We need to improve our capacities. We need to leverage our opportunities so that when we go to the marketplace, we can compete for business. As I said when I had the opportunity to talk, it is the customer, it's the user of the goods, it's the buyer of the goods who eventually determines what they want. It is not us. And therefore, are we ready? Are we positioning ourselves, whether it is in terms of skills enhancement, getting into the right partnerships, adopting the right technology, so that when that customer comes, they'll find you the right person, the right partner to do business. And the last one is, when we did the single customs territory in EAC, just to bring it closer home, clearing agents from the landlocked countries were up in arms with those in the landlocked countries because of the issue of competition. Again, we must think about how do we exist, collaborate, partner, synergize in this business environment so that all of us can be able to exist.
I submit.
Thank you. Yes.
Good afternoon. This is Mwijukye from Agaf Logistics. We're international freight forwarder. Our head office in Egypt, and we have our branches in East Africa as well. So, Jebel, we say Po Banyabo in our local language to create our people. Sasa, we have to be clear now. I raised that one. I think I joined the RAME meeting like 10 years back or 11 years back. It was in Qatar. And when that time we start to flash that the shipping lines in now position to monopolize that business, and they will oster all the freight forwarder out the business. We said that one like 11 years back, and we take it lightly. Actually, as a FIATA, I'm really putting a blame on that one, because day by day they taking a step ahead to oster that one. That one will not affect our industry only as a freight forwarders. It will also affect the end customer, as we see a lot of cases are really horrible, that people on shipping line doesn't have the knowledge of our local work, from clearing, from transporting, from preparing the things, preparing packing list. That one affecting even the small exporters, our local exporters here, which can even deal with these big shipping lines. So they be affected a lot of shipments really stuck here, because the guy can't even communicate to that shipping lines. So we here raise our voice again after 11 or 10 years from FAST today. We raised that one. It is really affecting the trade worldwide. It's not affecting us as a freight forwarders only. It affecting our local guys, exporters. We have to raise that one. We have to stand, and we go out from this meeting with some procedures to be taken without any fail. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you will allow me that we stop the questions here, and then I'll give a chance to the panel, each one of you, a second to make the last comment. And as far as having received the feedback from the audience, what is your last comment? And I will leave the freedom to you to choose what has been outstanding from the discussion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. My parting shots are this. This monopoly of the shipping line is not out of saving money, or that there is anything the freight forwarder has not done right, because we can do it right, we can correct it. It's greed, it's unfair competition, like John Matheng has put it. So we either, and we cannot accept to adopt, let's either compete with them and live here when we agree, either to deny them the cargo, which we can through different methods, or compete with them and formulate a way, like I've suggested, to also go into their business, because they are coming into our business. And if you want more details, I'm ready to present a paper on how we can do it.
So I would just, because I think maybe not everyone is aware of all the work, extensive work FIATA has done in this area and is doing in this area. It was one of our main focus. Imbalances in power between shipping lines and freight forwarders, that's an evidence. We have bring together last year the authorities of US, the Federal Maritime Commission. We have brought the European authorities, the Chinese authorities, and also a representative of the Union Africa to discuss about monopolistic approach of shipping lines, about market abuse. In the work and all the discussion we had, it's very, very difficult to bring anything tangible on the monopoly of the shipping lines. There are a lot of reasons that explain this monopoly. It will be too long to go into details. But when it becomes problematic is when we have market abuse. And here I join the chair of the Kenyan Forwarder Association. The big problem is market abuse. We have run a study across all our members, and I regret that some of you didn't share this input because it would have been helpful, of all abuses our members were confronted in the different market. We have listed, recorded all that, and we have come with a certain number of proposals. There are about 10 or 12 proposals of FIATA that has been recorded in the last paper of the Federal Maritime Commission, because it's probably today the authorities that is the most willing to go against a certain market abuse or monopoly situation, because there are, again, different reasons why the Federal Maritime Commission is probably a little bit more willing to go there, because they want to defend their customers, because inflation is certainly a target for them, a priority, and because they know that 1.5% of the inflation was fueled by the increase in freight rates during the pandemic. So there are a lot of factors that explain why the US were more active. But if you take, for the one who are looking for some concrete proposal, the last paper and recommendation of the Federal Maritime Commission, you will find at least 12 or 15 times FIATA mentioned with some concrete recommendation. So we don't have time to go into all this. There is publication we did. We have guidance on demurrage and detention. We have also did an extensive work on the recommendation of the FMC. All this material is available for you. I'm very happy to discuss it more in details, and we will have also someone from our working group C that will be here as soon as his flight is set and he managed to reach us to discuss that in details. But just come to us, come to me, participate in the working group C activity. It's one of the working group in FIATA that was the most active in the last 3 years because of this situation that is really absolutely dangerous for the future of the freight forwarders, because we need to work together to bring this possibility. And I would just finish by saying it's about thinking globally and acting locally. Just for an example, in Brazil, the Freight Forwarder Association has designed a provision, a law, that they have brought to the Congress. They have requested the support of FIATA. FIATA have brought all the work we did on this competition issue to support, without entering into the details of the law, because that's local and we want not to say a foreign government what he has to do. But this provision has been very well received by the Parliament, as is now going to the upper house there. So it's really a work together that we can do. Take this recommendation, this work we do, use that and see how you can, and think about policies that can help and are aligned with that in your region. We will support you in that, and then we will make a change and manage to ensure a more balanced or fair competition, because competition is good. There will always be competition, as it was said just prior by Mr. in the first row. We need competition, we need to be better, but we need also to have a fair competition field, and that's very key. So we just need to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Elkanah, your last comment.
I will deliver my last remarks as follows. You cannot diversify if you do not know which service line in your organization is making you money. You are not going to remain competitive if your customers are not happy. Make your customer happy, maintain the ones you have, let those customers be the ones to be the top sellers of your service that you are delivering. And then on the third level is, I would like you, when you're walking into your office after this event, what is the volume of the files that you have in your office? Start by reducing those files, those amount of those big files, start by reducing them. And then start by becoming efficient. And then lastly, start gradually. Investments in systems or technology does not come at one go. Pick a section, have a roadmap for your business, and then start working towards that. We have an exhibition booth that is at the hall. Come in. Okay, and all of these things that we've mentioned, that we've spoken about here. And I'm glad that one of our biggest customers is Multilines. You see that man who is very happy there because now he can go. He said he was in a place where he has winter because he has peace in running his business because all this he has automated his processes by the solutions we have provided. That's the reference that we have right there. And that I hope that hopefully after 3-day event here, you will start thinking and analyzing and having a roadmap on how to start making sure you are efficient.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gerald, thank you, Stephane, thank you, Elkanah, thank you. Please give applause to the panelists for a very good discussion, and I wish you a very, very good lunch. Thank you.